Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sheila Kolona, a double master's graduate, a junior forensic investigator, currently on secondment as a candidate attorney. So on this series, we are preparing for our board exams. I know there's a myth that board exams are difficult. Guys, there is no such thing, and I am here to actually show that. So on my previous video, we were busy with the liquidation account. I explained basic principles that you need. You cannot attempt the liquidation account without you understanding what happens to your policy, what happens to an investment, what happens to a house. Do you take the sold for or valued amount? You need to know your basics. So if you have not watched my previous video, please do go back, learn your basic principle, understand them, and once you understand them, now we can move on to finally doing the practical work. So we did our liquidation account, we looked at our asset as well as our liabilities on the previous video, and today, because we have I think it's about five accounts that are left behind, so our accounts actually build up from the liquidation account. So you need the liquidation account in order to get to the recap account, to get to the distribution account, to get to your income and expenditure account, to get to your estate duty addendum account, and if there's a fiduciary asset account, you don't really necessarily need it to build up from your liquidation account. But yes, we'll get there. Today, basically, I'll just be explaining that. What is a cash recap account? What is its purpose? What is a distribution account? What is its purpose? What is a estate duty addendum account, and what is a cash recap account? So our cash recap account, its purpose is for us to take our cash and assets reduced to cash. So now that's all your claims in favor of the estate, the money that we collected. So now we are taking that amount and then using it to settle our debts. So we're taking our cash amount that we've got, see if it can settle our debts, and in doing that, what we'll be doing, we take the cash amount, we minus our liabilities that we got from our liquidation account, we minus our legatee. What is a legatee? A legatee is like a specific bequest. So you would find a clause in the will that says and I bequeath 300,000 to the Nelson Mandela Fund. That's a legatee. 300,000 must go to the Nelson Mandela Fund. Hence, we are now minusing it in our cash recap. That's the cash that has to go elsewhere. So now, with your cash recap, you minus your you take your cash, you minus your liabilities, you minus your cash legatee if there's any, you minus your estate duty. Now the answer that you get, if you get a positive amount, if there's money still left behind, we call that a surplus. That surplus can also now be distributed to the heirs. And then if it is a minus, so let's say you take your cash, you minus everything, you get a negative amount, it means we've got a deficit. So what does that mean? That means we had money, we minused all our liabilities, cash legatee, estate duty, and then what happened is that money was not enough to settle our liability, hence we've got a minus. That also still needs to be taken care of. So in a nutshell, that's the purpose of a cash recap account. We are trying to settle our liabilities. Any money that is specifically due to someone, our cash legatees, we're taking money and paying that over. Our estate duty, we're paying that over. Now we go to an account known as your distribution account. The purpose of a distribution account, we are distributing the assets, the cash, whatever needs to be distributed, we are taking it and giving it to whoever it is due to. So in a distribution account, we've got what we call distributable balance, and our distributable balance, we get it from where? Our base account, which is the liquidation account. So in our liquidation account, you don't need to know this at this point because we only did the principle in our previous video. So in our liquidation account, what we would be doing is you would be taking your asset minus your liability minus your estate duty, and the answer you get there is called your distributable balance. So now with your distributable balance that you got in your liquidation account, you're going to carry it over to your distribution account, and you start with it. You're going to take that amount because remember we had our asset, our cash, whatever, and then we minus the liability. Then we know we're working from this amount. You take that distributable balance, and then now you're going to start distributing. So let's say there was a will that said the car to this person, whatever. Maybe we are distributing by virtue of the marital regime, you are distributing. So you will see when you are distributing, you will have your distributable balance and then the assets that you are distributing to the respective persons, right? Whether it's in terms of interstate or testate. Once you've done distributing, your distribution balance and the assets and cash that you've distributed should balance. It should still give you the amount, the same exact amount that you got in your distributable balance. Then you know that you're on the right track. So that's the purpose of your distribution account. Basically, we are distributing asset that is due, assets and cash as they are due to their respective heirs. And then now we come to our income and expenditure account. So we use our income and expenditure account to account for monies that came after date of death or expenses that came after date of death. Remember the investment example from the previous video where we get we get interest from an investment after the deceased has died. So now we can't account there for that in our liquidation account, but what we're going to do is we're going to account for it in our income and expenditure account. So let's say we also spent something and it was right after date of death of the deceased. We're also gonna show that expenditure in our income and expenditure account. Why? Because it's money, it's either monies we spent or income that we received after date of death. So now it is also a principle because there's nothing for free. For every income received after date of death, the executor is entitled to 6% commission. So please note the difference. So in your liquidation account, the executor's fees is 3.5%, but after date of death, for every income earned in the estate, the executor is entitled to 6% of that amount. So let's say you had income of 1,000 rand, right? You're going to write income for whatever reason it is. And then after, please remember in your expenditure to highlight the fact that you would be having your executor 6% fee. Now we've got what we call estate duty addendum. A lot of people believe this account is difficult, but no. When you explain it sounds difficult, but in actual fact, when you now do the practical side of it, it's actually not as difficult. So your estate duty addendum is basically you having now to account and make sure that you give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and Caesar is SARS. And before you do that, you just need to make sure that whatever is exempt from tax, you actually minus it from the estate before we can get the total estate value, which will now be subject to tax. And also with that, we have what we call a primary rebate. We minus 3.5 million. So when you minus 3.5 million, whatever is left behind of the estate value will now be subject to tax. But once you get a negative amount, it means that voila, there is no duty